Good morning. We good? I'm here to give you an update on the officer-involved shooting that took place last night. As you know, every time a law enforcement officer involved in an officer-involved shooting, we ask FDLE to handle the investigation, so there's no indication of favoritism or bias. I will tell you briefly last night that bondsmen from Bay Minette went to an address off of Hilton Road. They were looking for Ronnie Clark. He's a 53-year-old male. They had failure to appear warrants on him based on a meth charge. We also had VOP charges on him based on another meth charge. About 4:46 p.m., we arrive and we start a 3-hour conversation with him. When the bondsmen saw him there, they thought that he had a gun. He appeared to have a gun. When we got there, he appeared to have a gun. So we set a perimeter, asked SWAT to come out, and 2 more hours we tried to get this individual to come out. I have a video I'm going to show you in just a second and give you the ideas of exactly what took place. All this time, he held a woman against her will inside a tent that's on that property. He also, during this time, made 2 phone calls or texts to people that he knows, acquaintances, and said that he has a gun, and he said that he's going to shoot it out with deputies on both of those emails and both of those texts. So we had this information. We knew he was a dangerous felon. We knew he was wanted, not just in Escambia County, but also in Alabama. We had the perimeter. We knew he was holding a woman against his will. Our fear was that he was eventually going to try to get into his car, which was parked outside of his tent. So our SWAT team was gathered around. We had what we call our Bearcat, which are small tactical vehicle, and then we also had our Bearcat and our smaller vehicle. Because we thought he was going to try to get into this vehicle, we had positioned our Rook. Rook is what we call our smaller ballistic vehicle. We had that positioned near the vehicle. So it is important to note at this time that we had Ronnie Clark inside with warrants from our agency and warrants from the Alabama. He also has 58 felony convictions. He has been incarcerated 3 times. He is also designated as a violent felony offender of special concern. And again, he had a female inside this tent that was not free to leave. Now, I'm going to show you a video of what we see taking place. What you're going to see as I turn this thing on is a drone footage from our, obviously from our drones, and we have our SWAT team that is surrounding his vehicle, and we have our large Bearcat, and we also have our Rook in the area. And I'll show that to you as we get moving here. All right, this vehicle, this is our vehicle. This is the suspect's vehicle right here. This is our Bearcat. These are SWAT operators back here. It's obviously dark. You can see right here the suspect and the woman. He's got her held with a knife to her throat. He's trying to get into this vehicle here. This is our Rook, and he's going to position himself so that they can't get away. But again, you can see the struggle. She's trying to get away. He has got her. This tough guy has got her as a human shield at the same time that he has a knife to her throat. He struggles a little bit because he wants her in front of him so that we do not hurt him, and he does not care about her safety. All right. So our felon finally gets to the door of the car. We're obviously concerned. We cannot let him get away. He has felony warrants. He has a knife to her throat, and still she fights. She struggles a bit. But he ends up opening up the door. Opens up the door right here. The SWAT operator in the Rook comes up to try to stop and try to pull these tires up off the ground so he can't leave. We have another SWAT operator here trying to get a better vantage point. So again, they're still struggling a bit. We're still trying to talk him to giving up. He gets in the car. The Rook itself goes forward, stops it, tries to pull it up so he can't go anywhere. SWAT operator goes to the right-hand side. They're still in the car. They're still fighting and wrestling in the car. And again, he has a knife. He has a knife to her upper torso. He has a knife to her neck. The SWAT operator up here, you'll see in just a second, you'll see a muzzle flash from a single gunshot. There was a single gunshot right there. Now, what I was telling you a second ago, this is a violent felon, had warrants from Alabama, had warrants from Escambia County. We surrounded the location with our SWAT team. We talked for 2 hours at one point, our patrol officers did, and then 3 hours with our SWAT team. We tried to get gas, and none of that worked. We tried to talk to him. All we got was information that he was going to shoot it out with deputies. We threw tear gas inside the tent. It's kind of a makeshift tent outside. He barricaded up that tent so that we couldn't get inside. It was no doubt that he was not going to leave, not going to let the victim leave. At this point, I will tell you this. The suspect was shot and killed, and the hostage was injured. The hostage is right now recovering in a local hospital. I can tell you at this point it is possible that the bullet that was fired went through the hostage taker and may have struck the hostage during their active struggle. As you saw in the video there was a struggle outside the vehicle, there's a struggle to get in the vehicle, and while they were in the vehicle, there was a struggle as well. So as I said before, it's possible that the bullet either fragmented when it went through a window, or it went through the hostage taker and then struck the hostage herself. So it's obvious to us that we spent 5 hours trying to end this peacefully, and we could not let them leave. In situations like this, we care about human life. We care more about a hostage than we do the hostage taker. And the deputy had an opportunity to try to end this because, as I said, we cannot let this vehicle go. Our criminal escalated these events, and it cost him his life. He was wanted for the crimes that he committed. He had over 50 felony convictions. He threatened our deputies. He threatened the bondsman. He held a knife to the throat of a hostage, and he tried to get away. If you try to do these things, you're not long for this world, quite honestly. You play this type of stupid game, and you get what you get. If he had just obeyed, if he had just surrendered, given up, allowed her to go, if he'd have done that, he'd probably be at the jail now. He'd be at the jail now trying on jumpsuits, but he's not, because he escalated this. He had a knife to an individual's throat, and we took the action that we felt like we had to take. Now, by protocol, we have the deputy that is on administrative leave. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement, as I said earlier, will be doing the investigation, and they will relay that information to the state attorney's office. I may not be able to answer too many questions, but I will take a few if I can, and this will likely be the last time we comment because, again, we want to make sure that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is able to conduct their investigation. I want to do one last thing. This is a photograph of the knife that was recovered. This is the knife that he held to the hostage's neck and upper torso area. And remember I said that the bail bondsman and the deputies both thought that they saw a firearm. He's actually claiming he has a firearm, and he's going to shoot up with deputies. What we did find on him was not just the knife that he dropped, but he also dropped this. It's a 2 pieces of black something that he had taped together, and clearly he was using that to let people think that he had a firearm. Now, we have not found a firearm at the scene, so we believe this is what he threatened the bondsman and the initial deputies that responded with. But I can assure you that the knife that he had to the victim's throat was very much real. So, and with that, I'll answer any questions that you might have. Yes, sir.
Can you go into the decision to fire on that hostage taker while he's still tangled up with this victim? I mean, who makes that call and why?
Well, I think that the first thing we want to do is save the life of the hostage. I think that when you see an active struggle like that with an individual with a knife to a person's throat, their life is in grave danger. And if you have an opportunity to eliminate that danger, then you do so. And the decisions are made based solely upon saving lives. We cannot let a victim, a hostage, leave with a hostage taker. Anyone else have any questions? Yes, sir.
Do you have an update on the victim? Hostage's injuries, are they life-threatening, and how was she known to the suspect?
I'm not aware of how much she knew the suspect. I can tell you that while they were in the tent, we heard the noise of smoking meth. It's pretty identifiable. Who's smoking meth, I don't know that, but I can tell you that our deputies heard that from outside the tent that they were in. I do not have the updated condition on the victim, but they were being treated at a local hospital, and obviously our hearts and prayers go out, and we're hopeful for a speedy recovery. Any other questions? Thank you guys very much, and again, because FDLE is going to be handling the investigation, this will probably be the last update that we give you. So thank you very much.